Hello everybody. Welcome to Short Horror FMV Saturday. Hey Stock, how are you doing today? Hope everybody is having a good weekend. I've just mostly been relaxing so far. And here in America, we are having a 3-day weekend, which fortunately my company observes. The fact that the entire building is closed and we physically could not get into the office could have something to do with the fact that they decided to observe it. We should have 3-day weekends every month. Yeah, I know societal collapse would happen, but would it be worth it? And I hope everybody also had a good Valentine's Day. If you celebrate it, I know not everybody celebrates Valentine's Day. Some cultures celebrate White Day instead. Wait, is that a holiday or is that just an obscure survival horror game from the early 2000s? Why not both? Yeah, societal glitching, exactly, Stock. But thank you to everybody who came out to my last couple of streams. On Wednesday, we had our second ever attempt at D and were able to beat it. That was a messed up game. And on Sunday, we continued Goosebumps Escape from Horrorland, which we'll have to finish because that's a wonderful game. And what did we do last Saturday? So we did a couple of short FMV horror games. Sounds about right. I wanted to play MORPH GIRL this FMV February because, well, it's I've had it for a while, got it on some Steam sale, and it's a VHS themed game, and we know we like our VHS tapes and analog horror around here. And also because I promised to play the legendarily awful game Morph Man later this month, because I have a copy. Why do I have a copy? So it seemed only logical that I should play Morph Girl and Morph Man in the same month, because I'm not likely to get a setup like that again anytime soon. But yeah, this game's got good reviews, and it certainly sounds interesting. And yeah, not much else going on. You guys should watch Sweet Magnolias. Even if you hate that genre of television, you should still watch it. And then you can complain to me about how you don't like it, but you'll still have viewed it. Yeah. Dishonest marketing tactics. Let's start Morph Girl. Really just going to get... Oh no, last week we played She Sees Red, that's right. I'm probably just going to do one playthrough of this. Hey, House of Mike, thank you so much for the contribution to the community challenge. Yeah. A lot of people contributed early in the month, but then there was a bit of a lag for a while, so it's it's coming down to the wire, guys. Only one more stream in which you guys can contribute, I believe, tomorrow, unless I do a bonus. Yes, Wirebrain. I thought that too. How are you doing, Wirebrain and House of Mike? You guys, please go check out House of Mike. So close to going to eat worms. What were you playing? Oh, Baywatch. I didn't know they made a game out of that. Oh, Bayonetta. Excuse me. Different matter entirely. I did change the title. So many things to change. I never played Bayonetta, but I bet Bayonetta watch. Yep, we're watching a VHS tape. I don't know, maybe that's a crossover that could succeed. Oh. Even got a menu down here. FSM. Oh, it's kind of like Devil May Cry. I only played a bit of one Devil May Cry. Oh, there's play. Yeah, full screen metallurgy. FSM. Yeah. MORPH GIRL does not autosave. When viable, use the cogwheel icon to save, load, or quit the game. Remember to save frequently and prior to important events or decisions. Load these save files should you wish to revisit them. Which I will if it's a good game, but probably on my own time. And hopefully that font gets bigger. Monday. That font is not getting bigger. My name is Elana Pierce. Elana or Elena? On Friday, it will have been a year since the death of my wife, Rebecca. Since then, my life has been one of tedium and monotonous routine. I work an underpaid office job at a failing insurance company. I do not have any friends and I rarely leave the house. And in just a few days, everything is going to change. Yes, I doubt there'll be any partial nudity in this game like there was in certain other games we could mention. Not that I checked the content warnings. Rebecca was a writer. Her reluctance to find real work put strain on both our finances and our relationship. During an argument over our accumulating debt, Rebecca suffered a seizure. She was quickly diagnosed with terminal brain cancer. She died 9 months later. Every day I watch her favorite movies, read her journals, and her short stories. What started out as a means to move on quickly became a routine that I couldn't escape. There's little to my life outside of what I have left of Rebecca. I'll see if I can increase the font size next time the wheel pops up. I very quickly began to underperform at work. My boss was very understanding, but as the company started to lose money, co-workers began to resent me for the work I could not do. I was quickly relegated to my own office. Co-workers made hateful comments and dropped hints about my supposed job security whenever I talked to them. I try not to talk to anybody. I appreciate this. The static and the VHS filter and tape wrinkle effects are there, but they really don't distract from the game or interfere with play. People tell me that I need to go out, to move on and get over Rebecca's death. I don't want to. I can't. So I won't. It's been 5 months since Rebecca was diagnosed. Breathing is becoming difficult for her. Movement is an almost Herculean task now. While her doctors say that we still have options, Rebecca is beginning to refuse further treatment. She wants to travel. She wants to travel the world before she dies, see all that she can while she can. She's giving up. I don't want her to. She's tired, too tired for optimism, too tired for treatment. She's tired of living. We argue constantly over the continuation of her treatment. She only has months left if she doesn't. She gets visibly weaker with every passing day. She can barely walk, let alone travel the world. It would kill her. Rebecca knows all this. She doesn't want to be miserable anymore. She wants the both of us to spend the rest of her life in some exotic country, to elope from her treatment with money we do not have, with time she doesn't have. Can we not save? I guess not. Beg for treatment. I beg Rebecca to stop talking as though she's going to die. What starts as a heartfelt plea rapidly turns into me screaming and shouting at her. I tell her that we can't afford to travel, that she can hardly walk, that she's stupid for thinking we could do anything other than try to get her better. Rebecca quietly agrees to further treatment. It doesn't work. Rebecca only continues to worsen, and we are soon out of options. Rebecca can no longer walk or breathe by herself. She often cries, frequently wishing that we could be on a beach somewhere in the Caribbean. I feel guilty. Just a few days until the anniversary of Rebecca's death. I'm not ready for it. Tuesday. It's a rather sad and heavy game. Wait. Every day goes by the same as the last. Is it the brain that would not die? I don't know if it's guilt, loyalty, or just fear that compels me to stay put. Wacky roommate comedy. That would certainly be a change. Subversion of expectations, Wirebrain. How can I have happiness when I denied her the same? Rebecca wants me to read some of her book, on account that I never have before. I've always condemned her choice to focus on writing as opposed to pursuing legitimate employment. Her writing has always been a source of major contention between us. She wants to know what I think of it, before it's no longer possible. Morgan Mindy mixed with Ambien. I don't know what to say. She's desperate for me to read it, despite prior altercations. This makes me feel angry and a little guilty. Despite everything, she still insists that her writing career is important to her, the very pursuit that has jeopardized our home, financial security, and our marriage for years. I don't want to encourage her, but it's her passion. So I'll tell her that I will. I tell Rebecca that I will read it. It's a collection of short horror stories. I finished them all in just a few days. They're good. Really good. Rebecca's university grades were relatively poor, but she was always highly regarded for her fiction writing. She's really talented. I feel guilty. I think it's moved on to Tuesday now, Stock. Only now that she's dying have I ever bothered to read any of her work. All these years I've kept Rebecca from her writing aspirations, and now she really may never reach them. When she asked me if I'd read it, I'm too embarrassed, ashamed to admit any of this to her. I tell her that I've been busy, or if I'd read it. She never asks again. I often think that I would do anything to get Rebecca back. Oh, right, I would often do audiobook streams on Monday, right? Would I? Wednesday. The routine continues. Oops. I refuse to get on with my life, and yet I still expect it to change. It's almost as though I were waiting for something. She was watching another movie, I didn't see what. I'm guessing that was blood dripping in the bathtub or sink. It's been 2 months since the diagnosis. Rebecca's exhausted from chemotherapy, sick of both the side effects and its administration. She doesn't like her doctor or any of her nurses. She hates the hospital and is very outspoken about how much she doesn't want to be around real cancer patients. Rebecca doesn't want to feel unable. She's restless and very much in denial. Hey, Great White Knoll, how are you today? It's Friday night. Rebecca wants to go out with her friends. I tell her that I don't think it's a good idea for her to be exerting herself so soon after therapy. I need this, she says. I'm scared that this will be too much for Rebecca, but I can't keep her from living her life. I'll feel guilty no matter what. I tell Rebecca to have fun. I worry all night but refrain from calling. At around midnight, Rebecca comes home early. I pretend to be asleep. She's wheezing. In the morning, I ask her about her night. She says that it was a little too much for her, but she's glad she went. Thank you. Thursday. Oh yeah, happy Singles Awareness Day, Great White Knoll. Valentine's Day for some, Singles Awareness for others. Keep zooming out to see the movie and zooming in to read it. I know, that noisy phone vibration. Yeah, that'll get you up all right. The game's like, save now. Thank you, game. What is that? I see something by the bath plug. Is something leaking? It doesn't look like water. Should I go in? Confirm. Okay, yes, it's saved. Nothing bad happens around bathtubs in horror movies. Just blood. It is very thick in consistency, almost though it is oozing out of the plumbing, as opposed to dripping or leaking. It looks black. Oh, so not blood. Or maybe red? Or maybe blood after all? I don't know what it could be, but it seems to be coming out of the shower head. Not ragu. Yeah, ragu old world style. I remember those commercials. So was she bleeding? Was Elana bleeding? So. Oh yeah, bathroom scene from It. That was really effective. I don't know what was in the bath, but whatever it is, I need to forget about it. I can't be thinking about this right now. Not this week. I have some time before I leave for work. I can collect myself in the living room. I can pretend that everything is all right. It isn't. On the TV. It's mostly blocked. Oh. No. Censored anime. Photos of me and Rebecca on the day we moved in. We probably shouldn't have moved into a house with such expensive rent, but Rebecca wouldn't stop talking about kids. Though Rebecca was set on living in the city, she also thought we need the extra space. I think we would have been good parents. No, doesn't show us the photos. Wow. VHS style movie, and it's all DVDs. Rebecca's collection of horror movies. Well, some of them. PD, a word? Oh, I just know she's still wearing her wedding ring. Or a ring, I don't know if it's her wedding ring. It's one of the notebooks Rebecca used to write her stories in. Come with us, page 1. Typical. That's the best way Jane could have described the night. The moon was out, lighting the room with a dull, familiar glow. The air was still, peaceful. It was the perfect condition for sleeping. Many would agree with her, except the typical night had been disturbed. In the most atypical way Jane could never have imagined. Jane squirmed in the corner of her bed. She pressed herself against the headboard and the wall, hugging her knees. Most of all, she was trembling. It wasn't every night that you wake to find an expressionless child standing at the end of your bed, after all. The main question on Jane's mind was why? Why her? Why tonight? Why a child? Jane never thought of herself as particularly special. Surely this only happened to others who warranted it. The weird and wonderful, not someone like her. Normal. That was the best way Jane could describe herself. Her name was Jane Audrey Phillips, named after her two grandmothers, naturally. She had brown, shoulder-length hair. It was practical. Brown eyes like her father. She wasn't particularly tall, neither particularly short. She did well at school. It led to a job that paid her bills. She neither liked her job nor did she dislike it. She had often thought she was a very neutral person. She didn't think much of anything. Not that she wasn't happy. She was, in a calm, contented way. She got on with things. Much like herself, the day could also be described as normal. She woke 3 minutes before her alarm, as she usually did, ate a reluctant breakfast, and headed to work. Work was average. Papers needed filing, reports needed writing, minimal conversation, and a sticky R key on her laptop. Returning home, leftovers for dinner, calling her mum. It was the routine she'd had for years. She went to bed on time and fell asleep in a timely manner. Nothing indicated anything odd should happen to her at all. And yet there the child stood, at the end of her bed, in her room. It was a girl. It was wearing a nightgown reminiscent of times far gone. It had long, unwavering dark hair. Its face was pale and eyes were dark. It made Jane uncomfortable to think of the strange spectre as a girl, so she didn't. A young girl wouldn't find herself in a stranger's room in the middle of the night. This was not a young girl. That was all Jane could figure out. The woman had already tried asking it for information, but it wouldn't speak. It didn't react at all. It just stared at her. There was a chill on her spine, as she was desperately trying to ignore, almost as if someone was slowly dragging an icicle up her back. She pressed herself harder against the wall. The sensation didn't cease. Finally, the child parted its pale lips. Though this was once the outcome Jane was hoping for, somehow it only terrified her more. She shrunk further into the bed. She was shivering. "Come with us." Jane sucked in her breath as the child spoke. Its voice was soft and small. It sounded like a little girl. It almost left Jane less afraid. Almost. But the eyes were so dark and the stare was so intense. Jane desperately wanted to look away or close her eyes, but she daren't. The woman was terrified. If she broke eye contact, the child would do something. She couldn't know what. The unease only grew. The child's face remained blank as it stared, though its head tilted to the side. It was almost cute. Only almost. Jane suddenly realized it was waiting for a response. The woman released her breath she didn't realize she was holding. "Where?" Her voice wobbled as she spoke, her lip left trembling. The child shook its head a little, its dark hair shuffling over its chest. "Come with us." Creepy stuff, all right.
Let me die. Let me die.
The brain that wouldn't die. You know, I still haven't seen this movie. I know it's a sci-fi classic. I used to like this one. The film is about a mad scientist who manages to keep a woman's severed head alive for several days. The woman begs for him to let her die. Unsurprisingly, I no longer care for it. Would we be able to watch the whole movie, I wonder? No. Might as well get to work. Yeah, and decided we couldn't sit here for a, 80-minute feature. Please finish report by end of tomorrow. Maybe you'd be happier working somewhere else? Passive-aggressive comments certainly aren't uncommon around here, but I don't think I could put this report off any longer. I'll do the bulk of the work tomorrow. I can't do this right now. Oh. I used to take comfort in working here after Rebecca's death. I could pretend that she was at home waiting for me, just like before. A small part of me really believed that she would be. Reminds me of a scene from The Tingler. Whatever was leaking has now completely filled the path. It looks like blood. I need to call somebody over to fix this. I don't want to. I don't want to have to deal with any of it. I can't deal with this. Not today. Not this week. Not anymore. Tell them about the bath, how it looks as though it is filled with blood. As expected, they don't believe me. They can't send anybody over until Monday, and I'm expected to live with a bathtub full of this for 3 days. Great. See that? Is that the blood? Oh, the dead woman just walked past the hall in the shadows. Like, if I hadn't been zoomed in, I probably wouldn't have noticed it. Yeah, this is wonderfully creepy, Captain Thaco. How are you tonight? Rebecca always insisted on living in the city. It's expensive. We could only afford a small house. Overpriced, ugly, the landlord is a bitch. Were we to live somewhere else, this place would be a fraction of the rent we pay for it. I can get us somewhere bigger. Maybe then we could afford what Rebecca needs for recovery. I want to move. Making sure that Rebecca gets better as fast as possible is more important to me. But Rebecca insists that we stay. She says that the city is our home, that she doesn't want to leave our memories behind. It's a terrible place. We could save money. I tell Rebecca that it isn't her decision to make. I'm the one paying the rent. I'm the one working to pay for our rent. She chose this house. It's my turn. Rebecca reluctantly agrees. She doesn't speak to me for hours. Until we get an urgent call about a test result, we drive to the hospital in silence. It's not good news. I wonder if these decisions actually affect anything. It's terminal. Rebecca is dying. Bad place, but could save money. Sounds like many a city. Hey, Guitar Cat, how are you doing today? Guys, please go check out Guitar Cat. A friend of mine from school doesn't stream that much these days. Oh yeah, at least the full week, I'd think, Stock. Another day. Another relentless cell phone alarm clock. Another the game dropping hints that we should save here. I think I heard something break in the kitchen. Is somebody in there? I don't have time for any of this. I'm already late for work, and if I don't finish the report today, I could lose my job. Oh gosh, I thought maybe you would return to it at some point, but glad you're still around, Kitar. Honestly, I'd rather be burgled. Should I go in? I mean, we gotta finish that report, but... There's nothing here. I was sure that I heard something break in here, but nothing even seems to be out of place. Maybe it was nothing? Doesn't remind you of life. You've got to go into work and finish reports. Yeah, it kind of does, Stock. Elana, I love you? Yeah. Me and Rebecca used to leave notes like this for each other. She used to leave them so that I would see them before I left for work. Is this some kind of joke? This isn't funny. Only someone who knows enough about me and Rebecca could do something so personal. Even the handwriting looks like Rebecca's. I'm so late for work. Hello? Oh, no speech, I guess. So they could translate into different languages, maybe. Nothing. Nothing seems to be there. I guess I'll hang up. I knew that phone wouldn't leave us alone. Home. That's my home number. Is there somebody really inside my house? Are the calls really coming from my home? Surely this has to be some kind of joke. Hey, Zatara. Turns into a giant toad. How are you today? No. Hey, I shouldn't answer it. They've broken into my home. I need to finish this report by the end of the day. Then maybe I should answer it? I have no idea who this person is or why they might be calling. Who it could be. Who knows who it could be? No, we're not sure why. It's called MORPH GIRL yet. Playing 7 Days to Die. Oh, is it really cold there right now? Oh, sorry about that. Don't know who that was hanging up. Stay calm. Whoever is doing this is likely responsible for everything that's happened. This is just some terrible joke. I will just call the police, change the locks, and forget that any of this ever happened. Everything will be fine. Normal. Yeah, Stalk. I had that thought too. I remember watching the first version of that show when I was a child. Oh. Can we keep hiding from her? The figure standing in the kitchen. Despite everything, it feels like Rebecca. It isn't Rebecca. Maybe if I hide here long enough, it will leave of its own accord. I'll stay here until it does. Rebecca's been hospital-ridden for a week now. She's on life support. She could no longer move or speak. She could barely breathe. We had to take her. She will never leave. The doctors say she has only days left. She's going to die. Rebecca is in horrific pain. She frequently gestures to her life support. I know what she wants. Either way, I'm going to feel terribly guilty. I pulled Rebecca's life support. Rebecca flatlined less than a minute later. It's what she wanted, but it isn't what I wanted. If I were to refuse, she would only spend her remaining days in agony, waiting to die. But there was too much I wanted to say, so much I should have said to her. Her friends, her family, they never even got to say goodbye. I took that from them. I panicked, and now she's gone. You killed her. Saturday. 1-year anniversary. Is it the same movie? Overdue rent. Rebecca's always too focused on her writing to consider employment, but we managed. Until I was demoted. It's a photograph of me and Rebecca at a party, just a few days after we met. I was a loner at university. I spent a lot of nights at the student bar alone, hoping that I wouldn't be. One night I went. I wasn't. I met Rebecca. She very quickly introduced me to her club of friends and invited me to a party later that week. We kissed for the first time that night. notes and nice things. She used to write her short stories in these. Afraid. It was the only emotion Jane could put into words. The child never left. She stayed by Jane's side until the terrified woman left her work. Acting normal seemed quite the task for her. Jane returned home, wishing that the child would be gone. Alas, she was sat quiet as ever at the kitchen table, turning her head to Jane as she entered the room. Jane spent the days trying to ask the child questions about her name, where she came from, who she was. The woman was met with silence each time. She gave up, continued as normal. If she ignored her, she might go away, but wherever Jane went, the child followed. Wherever Jane sat, the child sat against her. Ignorance wasn't an option. When nighttime fell, the child followed her closely through her routine, silent and expressionless. As Jane hesitantly climbed into bed, the child stood where she had done the night before and pointed, knitting her brow once again. Carefully, Jane offered the other side of the bed to her. The child did as she wanted and lay next to the trembling woman. Jane pressed her back against the wall as the child stared at her from the pillow beside her own. They stared at each other for a while before the child sighed that soft little sigh again and closed her eyes. Jane didn't dare move her gaze for what felt like hours. Though the child didn't move, her eyes remained closed, and she was softly breathing. Jane knew the child didn't eat, nor did it use the bathroom. There is very little reason to believe the child needed to sleep. Paranoid, the woman remained obstinately awake. Jane opened her eyes quickly, breathing rapidly as she realized she had fallen asleep. The child's eyes were open, though her position had not moved. It scared Jane to wake up to those dark eyes staring at her once again. The room was still dark. Jane desperately tried to regulate her breathing. As her eyes swept the room, she let out a small shriek. Jane scrambled to sit up in the bed, pressing her back hard against the wall. There was a second child stood at the foot of her bed, staring at her with the exact same dark eyes. This child appeared to be a boy. The hair was shorter, but just as dark and flat. It partially obscured his eyes. The child was also wearing a nightgown. They appeared to be a matching set, though they didn't acknowledge each other. Only her. Jane very briefly tore her eyes away from the second child to look at the first. She was sitting now, too, but her gaze was fixed on Jane. "Come with us," they spoke in unison. The woman sucked in a breath and fought the urge to cry. She shook her head a little in response. Jane then felt the first child sit closer, her hair brushing against her arm. Jane looked down. The girl was staring right at her, leaning her head against her shoulder once again. "Come with us," she spoke, her voice soft. Somehow it calmed her. She felt herself able to breathe again. "Where?" she asked the child. The child simply sighed and looked ahead. Resting on her shoulder, Jane moved her gaze to the boy. He was staring at her. "Where?" she asked again. In response, he moved to where the girl stood the night before. Jane blinked at him and looked down to the bed. "Do you want to get on the bed too?" she asked fearfully. He did so, leaning against the girl, looking ahead as she did. All Jane could do was focus on taking breaths, in and out. They sat like that until morning. Table. Didn't know if there's something we could click on. There's some words in that heart. read what's on the cover of that butterfly book. Oh, butterflies, though. Alright, let's turn off the TV. Oh, Attack of the Giant Leeches. I have seen that. Not in years. That was Corman. This is one of Rebecca's old movies. She used to make fun of me for liking it. She said it was a really bad film. It is. Oh, now we can leave. Yeah, there were better Corman movies. Well, we know these movies won't get us copyright strikes, I'll tell you that. God, she's there. It's waiting for me. What does it want? It hasn't done anything to me yet. It feels like Rebecca. What if it's okay? Maybe I should approach it. But maybe I should grab a knife from the kitchen first. Just to be safe. To be something that feeds off our grief and tries to get us to let our guard down. It wasn't Rebecca. But aside from some inconsistencies in both memory and personality, its actions were almost identical to hers. And that was real enough for me. A bit like the child from the story. I moved to an affordable country home, just like I wanted. It was a nice place, somewhere comfortable where I could hide Rebecca from the world. It barely spoke and never felt human to me. But I would go on to pretend that things were just as they were prior to Rebecca's death for almost 11 months. My life didn't really change after Rebecca came back. I got another office job. At first it was refreshing to be around co-workers that didn't resent me, but my life was too secretive to ever make friends. It may have been the same old routine, but now I wasn't in it alone. I often felt guilty, but never guilty enough to return to my grief. Oh no. Abnormal. Perhaps this was. Jane realized people could probably see her. They were in the open field that was at the back of her house. They walked in a line. The children in front, herself following, holding out her raw hands. They led her through the field. She didn't know how long they had been walking for. Whenever she faltered or hesitated, without looking, they knew. Come with us, they would encourage her. So she continued, until they came to the lake. She stopped in her tracks. No, I'm not. I can't. They all stood in a line and turned to her. They faced her with blank expressions. They didn't speak as she expected them to. They waited. Jane's gaze darted between them and her burned hands. The pain was making her restless. She shifted her weight from leg to leg, rocking from side to side. They waited. I can't come with you, she spoke quickly. They walked towards her. Jane felt her heart quicken. The little boy took her hand, as did the girl. The other boy took hold of her dress. They looked down at her. The touch of their icy hands felt good against her burning skin. The three of them blinked at her expectantly, though they didn't speak. She took one step forwards. They all stepped with her. She inhaled and took another step. Slowly, they made their way to the edge of the water. In there, she spoke softly. Jane could feel herself shaking again. Come with us, they responded, stepping ahead of her into the water. Jane trailed her fingers along the surface of the water just as the children disappeared from view. She smiled. She followed. It was shallow at first. She stepped down a little deeper. The water was soft and soothing on her burning skin. It was cool but not uncomfortable. It felt nice. Jane found herself welcoming it. Atypical, finding yourself following three identical-looking, expressionless children who showed up in the middle of the night into a lake was odd, by anyone's standards, especially Jane's. She expected no one would believe her. Not that anyone would know. Jane had lived her life by the book, following all the rules. Such abnormality happening to the most normal person she knew, herself. Jane trailed her fingers along the surface of the water, just as the children disappeared from view. She smiled. I died 11 months later. Whatever it was, our relationship was symbolic. Imitating loved ones to feed off of willing... Our relationship was symbiotic. Imitating loved ones to feed off willing hosts to survive. As it turns out, there's only so long a person can last in such a relationship. I don't know if it was worth it, but it was easy. This is but one of 6 ends to Elena's story. Your choices incur real consequences, significantly altering your conclusion to MORPH GIRL. Will you find them all? I don't know. Let's try one more, chat. Try that last one differently. Maybe get a knife. It hasn't done anything to me yet. It feels like Rebecca. What if it's okay? Maybe I should approach it. But then maybe I should grab a knife from the kitchen first, just to be safe. assuming it'll let me. I feel like if I reject it, it's going to attack me. I ran away from the thing that claimed to be Rebecca and didn't look back. Telling no one, I fled to the other side of the country to get away from what I saw that night. I moved into an affordable home inside a rural town in the countryside, a place where I thought I might be safe. But it didn't end there. Still following her. Rebecca did not seem convinced of my rejection and would not relent in its advances. I couldn't go on living like this. It would follow me to my last breath. So it was pronounced Elana. Yeah, that's one more ending. Wonder if you have to currently unsupported for 1440p. Am I using 1440p? I don't know what that means. I think that's a good place to stop. We got two of the endings, which I think was what we did last week as well. With these short indie games, I'm like, should I try and get all the endings from my playthroughs? I don't know. It was shorter than I expected, but I enjoyed it while it lasted. It's exactly the kind of horror story of what I was expecting, but it's an interesting monster, and I always appreciate that. Very atmospheric, and makes you think about grief. Yeah, I know that was a rather short horror Saturday, but I think we'll leave it there for the night. Good game, though. Glad I bought it, and glad I finally played it. I do have more I should do tonight. Yeah. Yeah, I think I will get the other endings to this on my own time. So we'll wrap up and raid somebody, I guess. But I'll tell you guys what's coming up on stream. So tomorrow we're definitely doing our Valentine's Day special. And as is tradition, we will be playing a dating sim about a young woman going to school and trying to find love amongst her peers, who all happen to be large, intelligent birds. Yeah, it sounds weird, but I've played it the last 3 years, and Hatoful Boyfriend is an amazing game. And eventually we're going to get all the endings. Should probably look up to see what endings I still need to get and how to go about that. Then this week, you know, I have the day off work Monday. Maybe I should do one more audiobook stream, because I'm not going to start a new book. I don't know, this year. I don't want to say not this year, but certainly not for some months. But we have one more audiobook stream left to finish Welsh Rarebit Tales, which is a horror story collection from the 1900s. And I hate leaving things unfinished too long. Then try to plan out the rest of the month. Maybe we'll try and finish Goosebumps Escape from Horrorland on Wednesday. And I don't know. And then next Sunday, a week from Sunday, we'll play Morph Man and try to get through that in one stream, because I don't know if I can handle more than one stream of Morph Man. It's not nearly as good as Morph Girl from what I've read. It's not nearly as good as Critical Path from what I've read. And I don't know what will... I'd have want time for one more FMV game later in the month, but I don't know what. I did see this horror game about getting turned into a cockroach, which I've been meaning to play for a couple decades, is on sale for like $1.50, so maybe I should do that. I don't know. We'll decide. I play a lot of weird games on here, don't I? And hey, whatever keeps people coming back to watch more weirdness. Let's just see who we can raid. Someone's playing. It takes too long to explain the things my mind is doing.
Streamer streaming game on stream. Streamer, I'm afraid. Streamer, you must pause my stream. Streamer got a raid. Here's a raider leading raiders. Welcome raider, welcome raiders. Are the raiders alligators? Raider,
I was just
raider,
thinking
grackle.
of raiding you, because I saw you were playing Brothers in Blood, and I'm like, doesn't that have FMV cutscenes? We're actually just wrapping up for the night. But thank you so much for the raid. You guys, please go check out Slarty Bard Fast. Streams various older games, mostly action games, but also a fair amount of Grand Theft Auto from what I've seen. How was your stream, Slarty? That's the second Brothers in Arms game, isn't it? You're probably getting close to beating that. But yeah, my pleasure. And welcome in, everybody. I'm Purblind Gamer. I'm a legally blind retro and variety streamer who plays a mixture of action and adventure games and a whole lot of horror games. Oh, you've beat it today. Congrats, Slarty. And tonight we had actually just finished this this indie horror game called MORPH GIRL, which is inspired by, it has a VHS aesthetic and is inspired by Japanese horror movies, and got a couple endings of it. It was pretty fun. So we're doing this thing all month where we play FMV games. FMV February. I'm telling you, it's going to catch on. Is it just me, or are more people randomly playing FMV games this month than usual? It's probably just me. I was just telling everybody, tomorrow night we'll be having our Valentine's Day special, playing our only non-FMV game of the month, a dating sim. And then on Wednesday we'll probably finish Goosebumps Escape from Horrorland, which is a very fun game. Oh good, it's not just me, Slarty. Like, I've seen a couple people playing Tex Murphy, and there are always people playing Gabriel Knight too, let's be real. And yeah, it was Drunkarella was playing some strange looking like FMV Chinese dating sim for Valentine's Day. And there are a lot of good FMV games out there, and then there are a lot of Midnight Raiders out there. Authentic difficulty. Oh, that's the highest difficulty, isn't it, Slarty? Don't think I would last too long with that. Well, did the games allow save scumming? I mean, that was how I got through World War II GI on the build engine, saving somewhat liberally. Apparently, yeah, World War II was a place where it was easy to get killed. So, they sound historically accurate. Oh, there's a third one. I didn't realize there were 3. I've still got to watch Brothers in Blood. Or no. Band of Brothers. What am I even talking about? Maybe I'm just getting tired. I know the game's name. Or the series name. But, yeah, I really appreciate it, Slarty. We're sorry that we finished the game and we were just about to raid out. Oh, you guys are watching the series like in Discord or something while you're playing through the games. That's fun. To watch it and play the games at the same time. Let's see who we're going to raid. Captain Jax is playing. Didn't know the Flintstones got a SNES game too. Agatha Christie games. Oh, thanks, Slarty. I appreciate you as well. I enjoy popping into your streams and getting to lurk. I'll hope you have a good rest of your weekend too. Maybe Commodore Zed's running a game. Deep Cut. And I'm thinking of Dark Cut, the horror surgeon flash games. I feel like we raided Evelicia not that long ago. Why don't we raid Seraphine's? He's playing Darker and Darker. Darker and Darker. Anyway, sounds like a horror game to me. Oh, hey, Aldeborah and Adele. Oh, thank you for the lurk. I appreciate it. Yeah, my pleasure. Glad you enjoyed the stream and hope you have a good night, too. Oh, and thank you for the contribution to the community challenge. Only got one stream left, but we might actually make it. Oh, God, I'm going to have to eat canned worms. Oh, we got a last-minute redemption for Eat Something Strange. And Japanese. Fortunately, I have something here. And a bit tastier than that community challenge will be. Oh, thank you for contributing to the community challenge stock. I have here a Kit Kat, but it's the kind of Kit Kat we don't get here in America. It's a caramel pudding Kit Kat. They're supposed to actually put them in like a toaster oven and caramelize them a bit like creme brulee, but I don't really want to go through the trouble of bringing the toaster oven into my room and setting it up and what the landlord would say. So we're just going to eat it raw. Cultured Americans eating foreign snacks raw with no consideration for how they're supposed to be prepared. What does it look like? In the box it looked like a flan. Okay. Looks like white chocolate almost. Interesting. It doesn't taste quite like flan, but not quite like creme brulee either, but... Well, a little bit. Yeah, kind of a custard-like flavor. Then you can taste the caramel. Yeah, these are pretty good. You know, if they sold these in America, I might buy them when they were on sale. You know me. Good stuff. It has the Purblind Gamer LLC seal of approval. Why do I think they're not going to sponsor me, though? I mean, I don't know. The head of KitKat USA could be watching my streams and be like, oh, he likes our product. Then, call his colleague in Japan, the head of KitKat Japan, and be like, hey, we got a sponsor. Plays weird Japanese-inspired games. Or it's not a sponsor, a spokesperson. Imagine getting paid to eat things live on stream. I can think of worse jobs. Well, it depends on what it is. What if it was something awful, like raw onions? But thank you for the redemption stock. Alright. We're going to raid our buddy Seraphines. We haven't gotten to raid in a bit. But I know, so he sometimes comes in here, and I enjoy his streams. Oh, good night. Yeah, thank you everybody tonight for the raids and the contributions to the community challenge and everything, and I appreciate all the chatters and all the lurkers. And you guys can find me on Twitter and MySpace, where I post stream announcements and random stuff. And, oh shit, the community challenge was a success. Oh, that's why you didn't, you contributed only a partial amount, Stock. That was the full. Oh, well, thank you, guys. We did it. We did it. Shoot, I have to eat canned worms now. Well, I mean, if I didn't do this, I would probably have just, kept it around the house and put off eating it. So this is good things. From what I've heard, eating worm pupae is good for your liver. I don't know if that's true, but you can find me on Twitter and MySpace, where I post stream announcements and random thoughts, and you can find VODs of my past streams up on YouTube. So I hope that everybody has a good night, stay safe, yeah. Hope that you don't have bathtubs full of blood. Such a mess. Say hi to Seraphines, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for Hatoful Boyfriend.